Hi friends, in Planet Earth Dating, it's Wednesday, September 21st, 2016. In both the Lynn Life and the Jamie Body Mind, the authorized souls continue to be only child souls from the smaller subatomic, but we have waves of presences passing through here, and there seems to be a sense of panic, pandemonium, in the larger and less dense dimensions. So our intention for the formally videoed portions of today's efforts is to heal the root causes of the sensations of panic and whatever they represent in such a way as to manifest the divine plan no matter what anyone else does or doesn't do. And with that, the formally videoed portions of today's efforts begin. I think I'm starting to get an idea of what might be going on.
That's true.
We've been getting messages, many messages since mid-afternoon yesterday about the talk that comes after a death, a transition from one level of sentience to another dimension of sentience.
That's true.
A lot of messages about that, and I think that it's possible that a lot of presences have just transitioned in some dimension or another.
That
and
is true.
They're having the talk, and they are freaking out because they did a bunch of bad things, as have we all. As have we all. And they were hoping they were never going to be held accountable for that, and now the reveal is, oh, heads up, we actually are accountable for our lives.
That's true.
God, quote unquote, which just means a consistent source of significantly higher vibration,
that's true,
actually is watching all the time and sees everything that we do, both good and not good.
That's true.
And we want to, by and large, we want to pretend that nobody is seeing the things that we aren't proud of, and that when we show up, God, quote unquote, will just listen to our self-reporting of our life, and that's hogwash.
That's true.
That's a fantasy of wishful thinking.
That's true. And there's so much panic in the less dense dimensions right now.
They are freaked out. It's possible one of those larger dimensions had a collapse.
That could be an event of mass death on a really big scale.
Thank you. Yes, well put.
That's true.
What now?
What now?
In order to manifest the divine plan, no matter what anyone else does or doesn't do. And suddenly I'm seeing a view as if looking down into a big arrival concourse.
I see that.
As at an airport. And everybody's milling about and running, and people are looking as if for their people who they think will think about things the same way that they think about things, so that they can arrive en masse. There seems to be a feeling of there's safety in numbers.
That's true.
Wow. And I hear voices calling in a calm tone, but firm, calm but firm tones, names, and it's just one name at a time, and then you go into these little booths that we seem to be able to see through the walls at least a little bit.
That's true.
Like smoky glass or something, maybe.
That's true.
And because I can see shapes, and I can see people with their head in their hands, and I can see people trying to get out, and I can see people doing a lot of things other than just dealing with the reality that it's show and tell time.
That's true.
What now? In order to manifest the divine plan, no matter what anyone else does or doesn't do. Well, let's look up to the top of this level, because somewhere upstairs in the last 10 hours, somebody pulled a portal shut.
That's true.
Right after a bunch of presences went through it. Somebody pulled it shut.
That's true.
And we need to get that opened again.
I can see like the scar tissue where the portal was closed.
Oh, that's well put. What now, in order to manifest the divine plan, no matter what anyone else does or doesn't do? that scar tissue makes it look like it's inside a sentience, a life form at a larger level, doesn't it?
That's true.
It really does look like that.
That's
well,
true.
let's just open it up again.
I hear a tearing sound.
Mm-hmm. Swishing energy through. It doesn't want to swish through.
That's true.
It's interesting.
I noticed that.
Well, maybe we're messing up. What now? In order to manifest the divine plan, no matter what anyone else does or doesn't do. Just in case that was an error, let's correct the errors so far for the formally videoed portions of today's efforts. It might have sealed up.
It might have sealed up.
Okay, well that was a mistake.
That's true.
What now? In order to manifest the divine plan, no matter what anyone else does or doesn't do right now. Right. So somebody's asking, who shut that portal? We could see shadowy beings that we were calling dementors, but just based on their shadowiness,
that's true.
That might be completely unfair.
That's
Some
true.
shadowy beings closed it after there was a big bloop of smaller subatomic presences who really want to know what's actually going on, that moved up and through it. Bloop.
That's
and then
true.
shadowy presences from beneath the portal shut it.
That's true.
And what's likely to be on their plate right now? They likely are having checkout conversations, and maybe somebody thinks they should be given a chance to correct the error themselves. It's possible.
And I hear someone saying, why would you rob them of the opportunity to correct their error? Why would you take that away from them? Whether or not that person is right.
Mainly because presences are trying to live in the deeper, smaller subatomic, and that shuts off their airflow.
That's true.
Mainly that.
That's true.
What now? In order to manifest the divine plan for the smaller subatomic, no matter what anyone else does or doesn't do. Why would we sit around giving these people a chance to open the door when people down there are gasping for their last breath? That doesn't seem to have the priorities straight.
That's true.
That seems to say that those presences are more important than the ones in the deeper subatomic, and we've not noticed any difference in quality of sentience. It all seems to be just about the same. The only difference is size. Why would we value big presences more than small presences? There's that checking the rule books thing again.
I hear pages flipping. That's true.
Oh, yeah, caramba.
That's true. I heard the other present say, ay caramba.
Yes. We don't believe that you have a leg to stand on, so we're going to start to bifurcate all of us who really want to know what's actually going on to the search for truth's central axis, all others flung away, and we bifurcate right up through that scar tissue. All of us who really want to know what's actually going on to the search for truth's central axis, all others flung away. Now I'm starting to hear something from above that portal, so it must be opening up at least enough for sound to pass through it.
That's true.
And I hear children being interviewed upstairs, up above the portal, and it's a similar kind of interview, but the tone is different because these are children who died and have traveled a long way up under harsh circumstances with very little support.
That's true.
And have arrived in a place of light, comparatively.
That's
and
true.
Those presences are saying, tell me about your life and what brings you here, kind of. And the children are talking. Do the children know they're dead?
Not all of them.
Not all of them. Some do.
Some do. And some think maybe they're dead.
Some were wondering why things were strange, and when the person who's interviewing them asks, do you know that you're dead? There's a reaction of, that explains a lot.
That's true.
It's a higher level of acceptance of death than is going on if we scooch down below the portal to where the darker, shadowy shapes were.
That's true.
And when the interviewers say, "Do you know you're dead?" some of them literally don't seem to be able to hear that.
That's true.
And if there is acceptance of that transition, I'm missing it.
I'm missing it.
They don't want to deal with that. They want to pretend that they're late for work, or
That's
they're,
true.
I've got to get out of here. Is there some way of speeding up this process? I've got a haircut appointment at 10 a.m.
That's right.
You actually don't have a haircut appointment anymore because there was some terrible catastrophe and everything was wiped out.
That's true.
Nobody's going to be there to cut your hair.
That body is dead.
That body's dead. All those bodies are
They're
dead.
all dead.
There's nothing there. Where there was a city, there is no more.
That's true.
There's dust. There's something else.
That's true.
So some big disaster happened. What it is, I don't know.
I don't know.
But a big disaster.
That's true.
What now? In order to manifest the divine plan for the smaller subatomic, no matter what anyone else does or doesn't do. I know what we're supposed to do is clear the path.
That's true. I know one thing I know.
What?
Is that larger dimensions can't actually keep smaller dimensions out.
Yes, but we want there to be some kind of clear path.
That's true.
I was working with that earlier this morning.
Yeah.
About larger dimensions not being able to keep smaller ones out, but there was so much hostility that the smaller ones didn't want to risk going through that, what we're calling the Dementor zone airspace. There needs to be a diminishment of the hostility.
That's true.
I think I see the point. The point is that in this, what we're calling the Dementor zone,
yes,
they don't want to acknowledge that they're dead.
That's true.
Which is a pretty important reality that to them is inconvenient.
That's true.
And so all we need to do is bifurcate for all of those who are willing to acknowledge reality and willing to acknowledge inconvenient reality and willing to acknowledge personally inconvenient reality, and it should clear the way, and then the smaller subatomic presences can just blast on through.
That's true.
Okay. The presences from the smaller subatomic who want to know what's really going on,
That's
and
true.
they seem to be all children. But
That's
the defining
true.
characteristic is a curiosity about what's actually happening. They seem to be willing to acknowledge inconvenient realities. They've come from some pretty inconvenient realities.
That's true.
All of us who are willing to acknowledge inconvenient reality to the search for truth's central axis. All others flung away. And bifurcate higher, higher. Make sure we're going through that scar tissue point into that lighter space. Now I hear a tearing sound, but it's coming from above the portal.
That's true. I hear that tearing sound above the portal.
I think the point to the presences up above the portal who are interviewing smaller subatomic presences
Yes.
is this. The time for interviewing is past, and the time for intervention has begun.
That's true.
And you now know that something really terrible is happening in the smaller subatomic. Open up the portal, reach down a hand, pull up those smaller subatomic presences who want to come into the light. Pull them up, give them a hand. And then if you yourself want to continue the search, you can say, I've been waiting for you. Come on, let's go up and see if we can get some help.
That's
For
true.
your dimensions.
A lot of I don't want to.
I don't want to. It's okay. That's all right. All right. All of us who are willing to acknowledge personally inconvenient realities for the search for truth's central axis, all others flung away. I see how it's self-soothing to want to be conducting I don't know whether they call them exit interviews. It's more like entrance interviews.
But I was also hearing
exit interviews. They're calling
true.
them exit interviews, but you're on the wrong side of the portal for it to be an exit interview. That's actually
true.
an entrance interview.
That's true.
They want to think that those are exit interviews, but they aren't.
That's true.
Interesting.
Interesting. It could be that the interviewers don't want to acknowledge that at some point they too will check out. And so if they think of it as just those people are exiting.
Right.
That could be. I feel the feeling of, I don't want to acknowledge that I'm going to die.
We're all going to die, friends. We're all going to die. We are, you are, and all that death is the end of sentience in one dimension and a transition to sentience in another dimension. There's no end to the sentience. It continues on. There's not even a second in which we lose consciousness. There's just a shifting of awareness from one dimension to another.
That's true.
Now, we can deny that reality, and there seems to be an epidemic of death deniers, presences whose physical forms or denser forms
That's true.
Stop functioning, who then transition into less dense dimensions, and they're just in denial about it.
That's true.
There's a lot of that going around. But it's not changing the reality that transitions occur.
That's true.
All of us who are willing to acknowledge personally inconvenient realities
to the search for truth's central axis, all others flung away.